Potomac, and I strongly oppose this ZTA. Council members, could you please explain to us what has changed from your prior conclusions that a rollout of 5G small cells at this time would be detrimental to residents' financial investments, health, and safety? I'd have to assume that you've obtained additional information since your most recent federal court filings, and I would hope that you would be able to share that with us tonight. First of all, Montgomery County does agree that cell towers near our homes decrease property values. Specifically, the county, through its experts, stated that studies have concluded a visible antenna up to 1,000 feet away results in property value reduction of 1.82% for a residential home, or slightly over $3,000 in the market studied. In contrast, this ZTA allows cell towers 30 feet from homes, so clearly that would be visible. Please explain why your position has changed. And as I came in, I picked up the memo for tonight's meeting, and it says on page 7 that the studies often cited to support property value reduction are suspect. Now, those studies that are cited in this memo and the ones in the federal court that you cited before are exactly the same, so I'd like to know why they've changed, why your view has changed. Secondly, Montgomery County agrees that RF from cell towers is a health concern. It states in its federal court filings all of the studies that we've been talking about here tonight. And most importantly, Montgomery County expresses concern about rolling out 5G without looking at health. And it says, quote, if the new 5G environment in fact poses health risks, any prior rollout of 5G will have potentially injured citizens of Montgomery County and other municipalities, including sensitive populations like children, that cannot be undone. Such a result is unconscionable. So please explain now why this result would be acceptable under this ZTA. Third, Montgomery County has agreed that batch applications don't work. Through its experts and its federal filings, the county has said that batch applications don't create efficiencies, and they serve to significantly complicate a reasonable review. It ignores the reality that each siting requires individual review to ensure the safety of the public. In contrast, this ZTA would use the batch application process. Finally, Montgomery County also agrees that 5G will not provide coverage where there is none. Its experts say what 5G is expected to do, and it's expected to, it says the small cells are not being placed to provide coverage where none exists. For example, spotty coverage and dropped calls. So please explain why your position on this has changed. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to state for the record that I do not consent to being subjected to the experiment of deploying 4G and 5G small cell millimeter microwave antennas in close proximity to my home, my child's schools, in public parks, or anywhere near where people spend a significant amount of time. For anyone following public conversations in the media on the issue of 5G and small cell antenna deployment, it's a familiar soundbite to hear about how the law is on the Federal Communication Commission's side, the telecom industry's side. I'd like to remind everyone in this room and those listening in that we also have rights as citizens. I teach political science at a local university, and I tell my students that the state of democracy in the United States is such that local governments, more than ever, need to act as gatekeepers of this democracy, protecting the interests of the citizens and the safety and well-being of the citizens. This is particularly true when federal agencies, such as the Federal Communications Commission, are completely captured by industry interests, and, to quote the subtitle of the 2015 Harvard Center for Ethics paper, Captured Agency, the FCC is dominated by the industries it presumably regulates. Less than a year ago, United States Senator Richard Blumenthal and Member of Congress Anna Eshoo sent a letter to the FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr with a request to prove that 5G is safe. Their letters refers to the world's largest study on the link between radio frequency radiation and cancer, which many people have talked about tonight, and which found evidence of cancerous tumors in rats exposed to high levels of RF radiation like that used in 2G and 3G technologies. Multiple additional peer-reviewed studies, and we're talking thousands, indicate that 5G radiation in combination with a drastically increased amount of radiation that comes with the Internet of Things will almost certainly have exacerbated and additional adverse effects on human health. I want to remind you, council members, that you took an oath of office to uphold the Constitution of the United States by promoting the health and safety of its citizens. I want to remind you that you represent us, not the FCC or the telecommunications industry. And so I ask you, I urge you that you oppose this zoning amendment and vote no to ZTA 1907. Thank you.
And I will talk tonight about the impact of 5G on climate. Montgomery County passed an emergency climate resolution in 2017. Montgomery County is committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions of 80% by 2027 with other government partners. This zoning text amendment 1907 is designed to usher in 5G, but we should pause and take stock of the impact that will have on energy consumption and therefore greenhouse gas emissions. Research conducted by the SHIFT Project, an independent international think tank, gives us some sobering statistics about the digital explosion and how it drives energy consumption. The data show that the share of digital technologies in global greenhouse gas emissions has increased since 2013 from 2.5% to 3.7%. It will continue to increase and could double by 2025 to reach 8%. The COT emissions of digital technologies increased by 450 million tons since 2013 in OECD countries. The net contribution of digital technologies to reducing negative environmental impact is yet to be determined. In other words, the smartness of energy consumption features of our devices, washing machines and coffee pots will likely not offset the enormous energy consumption needed to power them and their networks. The local chapter of 350.org and the local chapter of the Climate Mobilization are opposing this bill due to lack of a carbon audit. Unfortunately, neither Kristen Cook, who is on the steering committee of 350.org, or Jim Driscoll, who is on the steering committee of the Climate Mobilization, was given a spot to testify this evening, but they are here. So I will briefly read from the 350.org letter. It is stated in the introduction memorandum that the sponsors of the ZTA 1907 foresee tremendous opportunities for innovation and advancement in many sectors from the increased capabilities of wireless technologies afforded by these new regulations. While it's certainly possible that our local economy could benefit from increased connectivity, we are concerned and alarmed that the County Council is not taking into account the logarithmic expansion of digital technology would likely be accompanied by a similar growth in power consumption. 350 Montgomery County has recently advocated for the county to undergo a climate impact assessment of every county legislative or regulatory action. Since we are in a climate emergency, as declared by the county's 2017 resolution, a carbon audit would seem to be a minimal contribution on such an expansion. Therefore, due to the lack of consideration of carbon consequences of ZTA 1907, we stand in opposition to its passage.
Thank you. Donald Bellinger.
Hello, my name is Don Bellinger. I'm from North Potomac, the Wesley area. I represent 337 homeowners in our community. As background, our neighborhood is targeted as ground zero. We have buried utilities, pristine neighborhood. Everything looks great. 40 years I've lived there. Everything's protected by you. The Montgomery County Council is the zoning authority around here. Right on your own site, you say in Montgomery County, every piece of land is subject to zoning laws. The County Council is the final authority. You are it. You are the only thing between us and all those other groups. We need you to step up. We have three arguments for this ZTA 1907. We think that these arguments don't hold water. One argument is we have to beat Annapolis and Congress and the FCC and do something. We need to disrupt them. I don't think you do. You're the zoning authority. You can do it, and if they try to do something bad, you can sue them. There's some argument we have to catch up with the tech industry. Well, you've heard from many of those people here. They all have different points of view. And trying to catch up with them is like trying to catch up with the publishing industry. It's all over the place. It's not any guidance. And there's something here. We need to allow wireless every 120 feet by limited use without notice in order that our county's economic growth will somehow keep up. I'm sitting here with my Apple phone and my Apple Watch, and I'm getting messages all over the place, and there's no 5G. And I don't need 5G to be able to operate. Also, the general argument that 5G is necessary for telemedicine in the Arctic may be good, but there was no cellular 5G involved with that. Telemedicine is great. 5G is great. We have in our neighborhood Verizon cable and Comcast cable. Everything works. We don't need 5G cable. The 5G towers would be every other house in our neighborhood. We have lawns, and now we're going to have in front of every other house with a 60-foot setback and 50-foot lot widths. That means every other house is going to have a brand new tower in front of it. It's not just on existing street towers. You need more more. So I would submit to you that smart cities are not our problem. Our problem is the health of our kids. You've had several stories where people put up wireless in their house and their brains fry. And you may not like to hear it, but these are people who went to doctors, and that's the story. So I'm sorry, speaking number 33 here, you've heard a lot of this before, and I applaud a lot of people that have been telling you it. That's
Thank you so much. Cynthia Ervo? Cynthia? Yes, can you press the button at the base of the microphone? There you go.
3 minutes. We're here in the backyard of Rachel Carson, and we should be able to enjoy our front yards and backyards as well. We heard from Verizon and from AT&T representatives, but they are not the line persons who go out in the storms and hang over the poles attempting to fix them and going up and down. These line persons may be pregnant or may wish to just protect their fertility. As we have this smart Internet of Things, many people will be required to support their family by working in areas where they are exposed to 5G. And they may have no choice about it. But when they go home, they should be able to pursue life and liberty and their own backyard and health as they see it. Our recently enacted equity principle demands that we prepare and hire competent counsel should the telecom Goliaths take us to court for staying with our protective zoning. In the T&E committee, Councilman Reamer respects the bicycling Dutch and Belgians, but has not seemed to notice that these smart groups have proactively halted 5G for safety reasons. That's my time. I want it back. Council proponents of 5G are siding instead with President Trump and Najib Pai. I'm not an expert on 5G, but I am an expert on lag time, the time between an injurious exposure and the time for that injury to be acknowledged, if ever. Generally, it's too long, harming some, profiting others. In 1981, trying to prod the Philadelphia City Council to act on lead, I read the following 1786 quote from Benjamin Franklin, to wit, "You will see by it that the opinion of this mischievous effect from lead is at least above 60 years old, and you will observe with concern how long a useful truth may be known and exist before it is generally received and practiced on." Many things have taken too long to acknowledge. I got radium treatments as a child at Johns Hopkins. It was for a minor rash on my neck. Johns Hopkins never came after me to say, I'm sorry. I just didn't listen to authorities and left 3 Mile Island because I was 11 miles away and didn't trust authorities. Spent my time at the NIH where I ran into a brochure that says, did you get radium treatments?
Thank you, Ms. Irville. We'll consider the rest of your testimony. Thank you. Sally Zimmerman. There's a button there, yeah.
Hi, I'm Sally Zimmerman. My husband is a survivor of stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. This makes us strong believers in the precautionary principle. Don't implement something until it's proven safe. Small cells concern us because they are a gateway to a level of frequencies not yet experienced or tested. A 2017 study measured biological blood responses in people who were exposed to cell tower radiation. 2 groups of people were matched for age, gender, and lifestyle. They were healthy individuals who did not use Wi-Fi devices. A single cell tower was their only source of EMFs. The exposed group had more micronuclei and less glutathione. Micronuclei form as a result of chromosomal damage. They are considered an early biological indicator of cancer risk. Glutathione helps to protect cells from toxins and supports the immune system. The closer the people were to the cell tower, the greater the effects seen in their blood. This study was performed in India, where the radio frequency limit is 1/10 that of international guidelines. The U.S. still allows the full limit. The wireless industry does not want countries to establish lower limits because they themselves admit it would make it too hard to implement 5G. In fact, limits might have to go higher. In a statement to the UN, the Planetary Association for Clean Energy revealed that allowable international radiation limits have to be increased by 30 to 40% to accommodate 5G. Studies show vulnerable populations, pregnant women, infants, children, and senior citizens can be more affected. Studies also showed there can be a potent synergy between toxins, pathogens, and microwaves. This means people with toxic exposures to lead, mercury, and aluminum, and people with pathogenic diseases such as Lyme can be more affected. In 2017, over 180 scientists and medical doctors from 36 countries recommended a moratorium on the rollout of 5G until potential health effects have been fully investigated by scientists independent from industry. These studies need to reflect total and cumulative exposures. 5G will substantially increase radio frequency fields, and these fields have proven harmful for humans and the environment. In conclusion, more studies are necessary. Until then, you need to protect the citizens of Montgomery County by enacting zoning laws to halt the rollout of small cells and 5G. Thank you.